What's up YouTube? Brian here, back again with another rod review. And today we are going to the top of the mountain to what I think is arguably the most expensive and highest end of freshwater bass fishing manufacturer rods, which is the Shimano Poison Ultima. This is the 7-foot medium. I've had this rod for a very long time. I got it last fall. Well, not a long time. I mean, when these were dropped in the U.S. market, I picked one up. I used it last fall. I used it this spring, and now we are kind of getting to the midway of the summer here in Minnesota, and I have a lot of time on this rod. So we're going to dive deep on this thing, and I'm going to compare it to some of the cousins in the Shimano family, specifically the Conquest 842S and the NRX 852S, which are both also 7-foot-ish mediums. So we're going to talk about this rod. We're going to talk about those rods. But first, we're going to talk about my Instagram. So if you are not following me on Instagram, please check it out. It's at Punch Fishing. It's where I post a lot of my on-the-water content. So I'm out actually fishing, or I'm just talking about the fishing industry in general, telling people about deals that are out there. Anyway, I do a lot of just day-to-day content down on my Instagram. So if you're not following me, please check it out. All right. So that being said, let's dive into this thing because this is why you came here, right? I first want to preface anything I say in this review video that this is a halo product. This is a product that is designed or out there for a specific purpose, and that is to show off the design, technology, and just overall engineering and manufacturing chops of Shimano. So a lot of companies make these halo products. They're the extremely high end. They're very expensive. They're very bougie. They're for a very small niche market of people who like and can afford these kinds of things. And what I say should have no real bearing on the product, because this is Shimano throwing the best of what they can do with pretty much, regardless of what price point, prices they spare no expense is what I'm trying to say with these kinds of rods. So it is a very intriguing product because of that. Now, first off, I am not a Shimano Poison historian. I know the Shimano Poison line has been a long-running series of lines in the Japanese market and outside the United States. They brought the Poison Adrenas to the U.S. several years ago, which was the lowest of, I think, the 3 Poison rods. So there's Poison Adrena, Poison Glorious, and then Poison Ultima. So the kind of 3 price points. And then the Adrenas were always the cheapest, and then they brought those over to the U.S. market. Those are getting a reboot pretty soon, by the way. Actually, they've already been rebooted, but those are going to be available in the U.S. pretty soon. I don't think the Poison Glorious have ever made it to the U.S. market. You can get them from overseas, but I don't think you've ever been able to go to a shop and just pick up a Poison Glorious. But last year, everyone got kind of excited that the Shimano Ultimas, the highest end of the Poison line, was going to come over to the U.S. market. Shimano did a release. A lot of shops got these in. There's very few models of this. There's, I think, 2 spinning models. There's a 7-foot light and then a 7-foot medium. And there's only a couple of casting models as well. Shops didn't get a ton of these. They're still out there. They're not like impossible to find. I think shop at an $880 price point. These things I don't think really fly off the shelf, right? But that being said, this is the highest end of the highest end in all of Shimano's freshwater line. Obviously, they probably have saltwater things like that are more expensive. Anyway, for bass fishing or freshwater fishing in general, this is it. So I've had this rod since last fall. I got it when it first came out. Right when Omnia got them in, I ordered one, grabbed it. I used it all last fall. I've used it this spring, and I have used it most of the summer. So I have a lot of experience with this rod, and I'm going to talk about a lot of things about it. So first things first. Let's just get weight out of the way because, let's talk about the features on this rod first. So first off, this thing has a fully carbon grip. It has a monocoque handle, which is the same type of handle you're finding in the X-Pride and in the Shimano Poisons, the Adrenas. And the monocoque handle is a solid piece. The grip on this is kind of the special thing. This is a fully carbon grip, no cork, obviously, no EVA, obviously, just fully a hard grip. It's very similar to the carbon grips that are on the P5 casting models in the Megabass Destroyer P5 line. So it's kind of, if you have a Destroyer P5 and you're looking at these, it's kind of the same thing where it's, feels like exactly like those P5 grips that are carbon as well. And I will say, aesthetically, it is beautiful. These are from this part of the rod, from the handle down, like the back end of this rod is absolutely gorgeous. It looks like a high-end sports car. I mean, it should for $880, right? So Shimano says that the reason they designed the grip like this and with the monocoque handle that this is the pinnacle of sensitivity. It's the utmost. Like, you're going to feel everything you can possibly feel coming through this handle because it's got some kind of resonating properties, and just every little nick on the end of the line is going to send reverberations down, or vibrations down to the very edges of your hand, and you're just going to know everything, and it's going to be the most sensitive experience on earth. We're going to talk about that. So anyway, really, really amazingly beautiful handle. Now, when we go up the blank, this rod has the Spiral X and High Power X, which is similar to the Conquest. And the nice thing about this rod with the carbon handle, the monocoque butt, and the High Power X going up the blank is this thing is probably going to stay looking like this for a long time. So I think maybe one of the biggest things in the pro column of this rod is you could probably have this rod for years and years and years and years, and then take it out of the rod locker, and it's still going to look like this. I don't think, unless some of the shiny finish starts to wear off, like I know happens on some of the Poison Adrenas. I don't know if the coating on this is the same as the Adrenas, but if this coating holds up, this rod is going to look this beautiful for a long time, because you're not going to get wear and tear on this carbon handle. The High Power X that goes up these blanks, I have beaten the crap out of my High Power X Conquest, and the blank looks perfect still. So this rod, if you want a rod that is going to just look like this and last forever and just be extremely beautiful and durable for a long time, I have a feeling that this is going to do that. So just because of the components and the whole package. So beautiful rod from here down. Going to be extremely durable. This thing is going to take a pounding and look gorgeous for years to come, unlike me. However, I will say the flourishes and the designs on the guides are pretty boring. Like, for an $800 rod, Megabass crushes Shimano in this department. It's just all regular black threading, a little teeny hit of silver, but really from the handle up, visually, which we should nitpick an $800 rod, right? Really not much going on. I will say some of the guides up here are like a brass or some kind of gold material, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if that matters or makes a difference to the performance of the rod, but aesthetically it is kind of cool. So it's like stainless steel looking, or titanium, just really, really regular gray. And then these last three guides have gold, which is, I don't know, kind of cool. Probably some kind of functionality there, but I don't really know what it is. If you guys know, leave it down in the comments. Let's talk about, so aesthetically, this thing is a 10 out of 10. It should be. It's gorgeous. This is a show-off rod. This is a flex rod. So when you're out using this, you don't catch any fish during the day, take some pictures of this rod and post them on your social media, and it's going to look sick. Like, I didn't catch any fish all day, but man, look at this combo. Isn't that gorgeous? I've been running a Shimano X-Sense 3000 on this rod. And let's talk about weight and balance. This thing is light, but here's the fun fact. It is heavier than the Shimano Conquest 842S, which was their previous Halo flagship rod in the US market. And it is heavier than the NRX 852S, but not by much. So the Poison Ultima weighs 3.5 ounces without a reel. This particular 7-foot medium. The NRX weighs 3.4 ounces, so it's 1/10 of an ounce lighter than this thing. And the Conquest is at a svelte 3.3. So this thing is really light, but it's not lighter than these two other rods, which are cheaper, by the way. So this is on, let's just talk about prices real quick. This is $880. The NRX MSRP is $625, and the Conquest MSRP is $775. So $700, $600, $800. This thing is still heavier, even with the carbon grip. So interesting, right? Also, let's talk about the guides real quick. So the guides on this rod are a Shimano house designed guide train. It's not a Fuji. It's not any other brand. It's a Shimano guide train, and they call it, they have a name for it, the X guides. So Shimano, if you go to their website, they talk about the X guides, and they say it's for optimal maximum casting performance. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm jumping ahead of myself. So anyway, weight and balance with the Shimano X-Sense 3000. Look at that. Boom. Right where it should be. Perfectly balanced. This rod, like all these other high-end, lightweight Shimano spinning rods, loves a light spinning reel. So if you go with a lightweight, which is what the X-Sense is, a Vanford, If you go with a slightly heavier reel, like a Stella, it's going to be a little more heavy, but this thing balances fantastically with a lightweight spinning reel. So aesthetically, I thought the Accents looks really cool on it because it's black on black. You know, put whatever reel you want onto it, but just know that a 3000 size lightweight reel looks great on it. An Exist would actually look really sweet on this. I know, mixing Shimano and Daiwa was a bad idea, but I think a silver Accents on this thing would look pretty sweet. Anyway, all right, so weight is good. A little heavier than those, but when you hold them next to each other, are you really going to notice 1.1 or 0.2 ounces of difference? Not really. Not at all. Okay, so fit and finish is amazing. Weight and balance, great. The guide train is interesting. It's the Shimano's, like I said, Shimano's house brand. Shimano says that this thing improves casting distance. In my practical experience, it doesn't cast any further than either of these two. Well, actually, I should say it does cast further than NRX. This thing's a lot faster. But I'm going to compare it in casting specifically to the 842S. Now, the 842S is a smidge softer. These are both 7-foot mediums. They both are rated to a 1/2 ounce. I would say this one is a slightly more powerful than the Conquest 842S. This thing can slightly outcast this thing. And I think that's specifically because this blank is a little more squishy and it bends back a little more in cast. So you can get a little more whip into it. This thing is pretty powerful and thus a little stiffer. So I say that the casting performance that Shimano's marketing claims is so much better with this guide train on this specific rod. It doesn't seem any better. I don't buy that with actual on the water use. Tasa, what techniques did I fish on this rod? Pretty much all sorts of stuff. I threw paddle tail swim baits on this thing. I threw shaky heads on this thing. Wacky worms on this thing. Ned rigs on this thing. Nico rigs on this thing. Pretty much any spinning finesse application that doesn't require super lightweight or light wire hooks or really light weights, I've thrown on this thing. It's a great, just all-purpose spinning rod, which is a 7-foot medium should be like an all-purpose great rod, right? So the guides, I think their marketing's a little overblown. I don't think it's any better. The Shimano Conquest has Torzite guides, which is like the highest end Fuji guides that they make. And that thing casts great. This thing casts good. It's just not like night and day better than like the Conquest with Torzite. Whatever. Okay, so let's talk about probably the number one thing you're probably curious about. One of the things you're probably curious about is sensitivity. Is this rod as mind-blowing sensitive as Shimano's marketing around all the Poison Ultimas make it sound? It's pretty sensitive, but I don't think it's any more sensitive than this guy, and I definitely don't think it's any more sensitive than the old NRX 852S. And you can get this thing for $600 and even cheaper with finding discounts or buying them used. For $880, this Shimano Poison Ultima in my hands is literally more sensitive than the NRX. It's about the same or maybe even slightly worse. I mean, that NRX is amazingly sensitive. The 852S is awesome. The Conquest, also stupid sensitive. This thing is very sensitive, but is it $880 blows your mind sensitivity? No. My old, I will say the old Addermine P5, I'm sorry, the old Destroyer Addermine, not the P5 one, but the old one, that thing was mind-blowing sensitive. It was more sensitive than this. This thing is way more expensive. So my point is, if you're buying this for $880, it's not like earth-shattering, next world level sensitivity. A lot of people who are on Shimano's payroll, there's pro staff, pros, they will say that this thing is unbelievably sensitive. It's the best thing ever. I know Tactical Bassin says, oh, these Shimano Ultimas are just stupid sensitive. Okay, they're pretty sensitive, but it's not next level, put it that way. But you're paying for the looks, the flex of these things, like flex, and I mean like showing off to your friends or showing off on your social media or just handing this to someone's like, try this rod. This is cool. This is $800. You should like this. There's a flex appeal to this. It is a beautiful rod. It's definitely going to hold up and be extremely durable, meaning that, this is unlike the NRX, this cork is going to, banging my rods on everything. This cork is going to wear and tear. Things are going to fall out. This is going to show its age. And NRXs typically do show a lot of wear in the blank as it does age. You know, but that is not going to happen with these Spiral X rods. So, like I said, pros, sensitivity and balance is pretty good. Weight is really great. It's a flagship rod that looks stunning. It is a very versatile rod. You can do a lot of cool techniques with it. I have a fish catch video. Let's just jump over to that right now. If you've made it this far in the video, I got to show you the fish catch. So I did grab a video of this so you can see the action. Let's go over to the laptop. I'm going to play this for you guys. This is just wacky Senko on a dock. You can absolutely feel bites on slackline on this thing. Really great. You should be able to for $800. It is a high-end rod. But I'm on slackline. I felt that fish grab it and start swimming with it while I was goofing around with the reel. There it is. I felt a hit. Came back. Got it. So right here you can see the deflection on this rod. It is a pretty fast, powerful rod. This is not a soft rod by any means. You can really horsefish out of cover, out of grass. This is a great deep grass rod for fishing like Nico rigs, shaky heads, any of that kind of stuff where you need that sensitivity, you know, down past 15 feet. This rod can absolutely do that.
Find into that pontoon there.
Yeah, caught this one right off the back of that pontoon. Not a big fish, but, you know, kind of a typical fish
Ultima.
up here.
Oh.
Lost my worm. Yeah. Anyway, pretty standard 7-foot medium, except for the fact that it is $880. But I mean, you're gonna get exactly what you think you're getting with this rod. It's not a slouch. You're getting the beautiful design of this thing. You're getting the feeling that you're holding something very bougie and something very high end when you own one of these rods. Like you pick up a Conquest just for comparison's sake, if you pick up the 842S in a store, this doesn't look like a $775 rod. Like this looks like a pretty normal everyday rod, right? Got the cork, got the CI4 reel seat, nothing fancy going up the guide train. Like this is a pretty lame looking rod. I love this rod, by the way. This is literally one of my favorite spinning rods of all time. This is my desert island rod. If I had to pick one spinning rod to use the rest of my life, it's probably going to be the Conquest 842S. Is a fantastic rod. But it is boring as hell to look at. This is not a $700 rod. And you just go, whoa, this thing is gorgeous. Wow, look at all the design and flourishes and just how much craftsmanship is in this $770 rod. No, not at all. But when you pick up the Poison Ultima, you definitely go, okay, this is a high-end, bougie, amazing rod. So that's probably what you're paying for the admission price into this kind of rod. So anyway, that's kind of all I have to say about this thing. It is an amazing package. Do I think you should run out and spend $880 on this rod? No, you do not. Nobody in this hobby needs to have an $800 7-foot medium spinning rod to throw Senkos around a dock. Completely ridiculous. So I don't encourage anybody to make financial decisions of this nature, but I think the people who can afford these and are interested in these rods don't care what I say about financial decisions. They're going to buy 5 of these things, right? Because it's a whole different kind of person and kind of market and kind of ballpark of consumers that are interested in this kind of product. And I'm speaking to you people right now that if you do buy this thing, you're not going to hate it. It is very gorgeous. It does balance really well. It gives you everything you want and more, especially in the looks department. So anyway, I hope this is somewhat helpful. It's really hard to review these kinds of rods because it's like, it's a company there's obviously engineers that spend hours and days and months and years of their lives to develop the technology to build something this classy and this high end. Who am I to say that, oh, it sucks? It doesn't suck. It's great. But I also can't, what I say shouldn't matter. The people who engineered and designed and built a product like this, you guys should be very proud of yourselves. It is an amazing piece of equipment to go out and catch little green fish with, or whatever fish you want to catch with this thing, whether it's stripers or pike or who cares. But just to go out and just catch some fish, someone put lots of people put a lot of effort and time and work into this thing. So it's very cool. I'm feel very honored to have one of these in my collection. I do enjoy using it. When people come on my boat, I hand them this rod because I love having people just use this thing and they kind of look at it and are like, this is kind of weird. I don't know if people who use this rod on my boat know if this is a $40 rod you can get at Walmart or this is an $880 flagship rod from one of the biggest fishing brands on earth, Shimano. So I don't know. I don't really explain it to them. I don't just hand them a rod and say, hey, yeah, this is a $1,000 rod. Have fun. I just hand it to them and go cast over there and see what happens. So it is a fun rod to just drop on people and get their reaction. Are they curious about it? Anyway, this is just a fun rod to have in the boat to bust out once in a while. And I do use it on the daily. However, like I said, if I had to just pick one bougie high-end rod to use all the time, it's going to be this guy. I still love this rod. It is literally one of my favorite pieces of fishing gear that I have ever purchased in my life. All right, so that being said, Shimano, you guys are great at making this stuff. Keep up the good work. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and we'll see you on the next video. Take it easy.